So, Darkest Dungeon 2 has just released into its 1.0 version and is come out on Steam. Apparently, this game was in early access from, I think it was October 2021 up until now, so nearly 2 years, and I didn't have a clue about this game. I've just seen that it launched and it was available to purchase on Steam. Now, this game is not going to be for everyone, and if you do enjoy this sort of a game, this is going to cost you £33.50. It's quite an expensive game, especially for what it is, but if you enjoy it, there's a lot of depth to it. It's just a very, very tough game. I sat there on stream, I played it for a couple of hours, so in this video we're going to be going through if I think it's worth buying it overall. And as soon as you get into the game, it doesn't give you tutorials on screen. It basically puts all the tutorials into this menu that you can access by pressing escape. And there is so much going on in this game. I didn't read through the tutorials unless they popped up at the top right to basically give me a notification, saying there's now a tutorial available to understand this mechanic. And it throws you in straight into battles and stuff. It's quite easy to learn, but it's going to be very, very tough to master. And I'm going to say there are roguelike features in the game, because if you go through, you get to an inn, which is basically like a checkpoint. You then go through to a different region. Once you die, you start all over again. And at the start, it's going to be very frustrating because no matter how many runs you do, you just don't have extra characters. You have to spend candles and stuff. You have to go to this place called the Altar of Hope, and you need to unlock new characters and everything to use. So I think it was about 3 or 4 runs. I didn't last long whatsoever in any of the runs. I kept getting battered by bosses. So it was just over and over again, every single run using the same 4 characters. But one thing that's really good is you start the game and you get to the inn. You have one little battle to kind of warm you up. You go to the inn. You get mastery points so you can increase basically improve the skills and upgrade your heroes so they can be stronger when they're in battle. But this game, even with upgraded skills, is still stupidly difficult because you start off with battles, you're facing enemies that have 10, 12 HP, and some of them go up to 16 or 18, and then you get into a full-on sort of region that you've got to make progress through, and you're facing enemies with 40 plus. There's basically these, I don't even remember what the enemies are called, but they can use these skills to fully resurrect the dead enemy. And they come back with full HP and everything like that. And then you go through multiple rounds and multiple battles, all consecutively. So there's no healing and stuff in between. There's no visiting different places to get buffs and things like that. It's literally battle after battle. You get to battle number 3, you're facing an enemy like the Librarian, and they have over 100 HP, and they are so tough to take down. I have not been able to kill a boss, and I've done multiple runs of this game. So it does get incredibly frustrating. I mean, really, really frustrating. The game is good. The art style is fantastic. The narrator they've set up is really, really good in this game. The amount of depth, the different resistances, the attacks, the way you heal. There's just so much you can do with your heroes to synergize and play better. It's all just about learning how to actually play the game, which is something I really, really struggled with. But it depends, because you don't have to go and fight bosses. When you're in the inn and you're selecting your first region, you can pick out of 2 different ways to go. And then when you're actually in that area, so say I went to the Sprawl, or even if I went to the Tangle, when I'm there, you get different paths. So you don't have to go into a lair and fight 3 battles consecutively. You can go the other way, and there might be somewhere where you can rest. There might be a vendor. There's different routes and stuff you can take on your path to through different regions, and you basically have to get through something called leagues. I believe it's essentially turns. You're driving your stagecoach, and when you get into the first region or the first area where you can choose your path and everything like that, you have 60 leagues until you get to the inn. And you would think, oh, that's really, really long. But after you've done Like, say you go through an oasis and then you go through a battle, you're going to be like 20 leagues in at that point. So it's not really, really long. And there's just so much you can do in this game. Like 2 hours, I barely scratched the surface, or at least that's what I feel. Because I feel as though there's multiple different acts, if you want to call it that. And I believe the first one's called Denial. And I struggled so much with it. I was getting better and better. I was getting closer to taking down these bosses, but I was unsuccessful every single time. So if you are going to jump on, if you're going to purchase Darkest Dungeon, as I said, £33.50 on Steam. It's in version 1 right now, so it's the full release of the game. And I'm going to say it's worth playing if you enjoy this sort of game. If you feel you're going to get frustrated, if you're not a fan of this genre of game, then it's not going to be for you at all. But if you're into this stuff, then I believe you're going to have a lot of fun alongside the frustration, learning the mechanics and everything like that, because there are so many different things going on. You've got all the different resistances, you've got death, you've got blight, you've got burn, you've got bleed, there's loads and loads. You've got, then you've got like debuffs and stuff, and you've got, you've got stun, you've got daze, you've got block, you've got shield, you've even got counter attacks. Like, there is so much going on in this game. And not only that, when you kill the enemies in this game, they don't just die straight away, and a lot of your attacks are going to face, like, say for an example, there's 4 enemies that you've got to take down in the battle. Some of your attacks are only going to attack, only going to be able to reach the first 2 enemies. Some are going to reach the back 2 and things like that. But when the enemies die in this game, there's not even a guarantee you're going to kill them if you deal enough damage. You can get crits and everything like that, but there is a chance, instead of getting the death blow, which kills them, you might see death's door come up, which basically gives them an extra turn where they don't actually die from that hit that would normally be fatal. And even if you do get the death blow, they're not going to die straight away, and that's them wiped out. And say you take out the front enemy, the other 3 move up. It's not that simple. They're going to turn into a corpse, and these corpses can have 12 HP and things like that, so you're not going to be able to just make the fight that much easier that quick. And then you get to something like the Librarian, and the Librarian is the only enemy that can attack, but there are 4 enemies, because the Librarian has 3 different stacks of books that each have different amounts of HP. So you've got to try and get rid of the books. The Librarian even attacks them, and they're still tough to take down. And then once you've got rid of all the books, the Librarian's right in front of you. And by that time, the Librarian's got that many buffs and stuff going on, and is having that many turns consecutively, because it felt as though every time I had an attack or had a turn with one of my heroes, the Librarian got 3 turns. But it becomes so tough when you're dealing, say, between 4 and 10 damage per hit, and they're dealing between 7 and 12 or 7 and 15. Your heroes have a lot less HP than the Librarian or the other bosses and stuff that are in the game. And then if you get even the smaller enemies, not the bosses, you get them coming into it, and they've got an enemy alongside them in the battle that can resurrect them. Yeah, it gets quite frustrating at times. But overall, it's a good game. There's so much stuff to it. You've got a full-on stagecoach that you can actually drive. You've got dangerous paths and stuff, and if you take too much damage with your stagecoach, there's going to be a battle that's initiated. You've got to try and defend it and things like that. There is a lot going on in this game. You've got the Altar of Hope where you spend your candles. You've got different vendors where you spend relics and things. You've got the inn where you can build up your mastery and improve your heroes. There is a lot of depth to this game. So if it is your style of game, I do recommend this game. I do think it's worth that money. But if you are not a fan of this genre, steer clear of it, because you will probably not enjoy this one. And on that note, we are going to leave the video there. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like is appreciated. If you wish to support me further as a creator, there are links in the description. Let me know your thoughts about the video in the comments. And if you want to watch more, you can click the video on screen. All support on the channel is greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.